Puppet Labs provides data center automation software that helps our customers move faster and get a lot more done in a lot less time with a lot lower error rates. So you bought all of your servers, all of your devices for a reason. Our software helps those things do what they're supposed to do. You bought a server to be a web server. Our software will take that machine, that server, physical server, virtual server, and turn it into a web server for you. And when you need to update it, you need to update the software, add new content. You can use Puppet to go do that work for you. So instead of you going to each of the individual machines and doing things manually, you can rely on us as both the engine for getting the work done and the automation for doing it repeatably and very, very fast. Starting a company is really one of the hardest things you can ever do. You rarely do it for the glory, because rarely does the glory work. Usually, whether you're starting even a restaurant or something where you're not trying to become a billionaire, these things are very hard. They very often fail, but they're also the densest learning experience you can have. I mean, I'm a big fan of college, I'm a big fan of learning, but really I'm a big fan of any kind of learning. And one part of why I decided to start my own company was I compared it to going and getting a law degree or going and getting a business degree. And I figured, you know, the downside of a business degree is not very bad, and the downside of starting a business can be pretty bad, but the upsides of a business degree aren't that great, and the upsides of starting a business, if things go well, can be fantastic. And it's unquestionable for me that I've learned so much more in the 10 years I've been running Puppet Labs than I could possibly have learned in 10 years of school. And even when it doesn't go well, even when things don't go perfectly, if you view it as a learning opportunity, then it's fantastic. And the great thing about starting a company, the great thing about being a founder, being an entrepreneur, being a CEO, is you have to learn a bit of everything, right? You don't get to be in this silo. You don't get to be in this place where, oh, I'm just an engineer. I don't know why this code is here, and I don't know what my user is. Or, oh, I'm just in marketing. I don't know how the product works. Or, oh, I'm just in sales. You have to understand a little bit of all of it, and you have to go spend time. You know, none of us want to understand accounting, but it actually turns out it's useful for you to understand accounting. It's useful for you to understand the model of how a business works, even if that's not what you do want to do in the long term. So one part of what we do at Puppet Labs is we try to educate our whole company on how the company works. So we want you to understand at least enough about sales, enough about marketing. And part of it is, hey, a lot of you do want to go on and start other companies. But part of it too is you're more effective in your role if you understand the roles of the people around you. And running your own business will really help you learn the other roles, learn the other things. And you know, it also really helps increase your tolerance for pain, which is certainly an important part of building an effective career, especially in the first kind of the 10 years in your 20s, where you're really doing a lot of exploration, a lot of learning, and a lot of you should make mistakes. You should take on jobs that you end up not succeeding in, because that's part of experimenting. It's part of learning, and it's pretty helpful to have a high tolerance of pain through that period. The skills obviously vary a lot by the roles. We've got a wide range of kinds of jobs at Puppet Labs. So if you're in engineering, we're looking for front-end engineering, where you're looking at things like JavaScript and CSS. We're looking at back-end engineering, where you're building services, you're architecting applications. And so those are languages like Clojure and C++. Distributed applications are certainly complicated things that are always hard to find. And then also hiring for things like support, where the ability to talk to customers about technical concepts. So really a combination of just enough technology and a great amount of empathy. So you really understand the customer's problem. You can help them work through something without getting frustrated at trying to support somebody over the phone. We're also hiring in a lot of sales and marketing roles where, again, empathy is really important. Really understanding the user, knowing who you're talking to, knowing what their problems are, and being able to talk to them in terms of their issues, in terms of their needs, rather than in terms of yours. And in marketing, it's a lot of being able to tell stories, being able to be clear about what you're trying to accomplish, what you hope they understand, what you hope they learn. In sales, it's much more, how can we help solve your problem, right? How can we help you adopt this thing? What can we do to make this big thing you're wrestling with go away? How can we deliver not just software, but deliver a complete solution in terms of services and the people who are all there to help you get the job done? So those are just some examples, but the truth is we have a very wide range, whether you're talking technical writing in our docs teams, or you're talking project management, both of which are also fantastically important to us. Our decision to open an office in Belfast was really based on a number of factors. For us, first and foremost, can we get great people there? obviously our biggest limitation is, can we find the people who can do the work we need them to do? There's no point in opening an office in a city that doesn't have the people we need. And that was really the crux of, I would say, the seed of why we decided to open an office there. Is we met a couple of people who were not just clearly going to be great members of the team, great additions to the team, but also people who could build a team around them. When we were able to convince Nick Smith to join, we knew that not only could he do great work, but he could convince other people who he had worked with in the past, who knew him by reputation, we knew he could build a team. And that was really the crux of it. Without a great team, there's no point in the office. Once we knew that was in place, there were a lot of other issues, like the fact that we didn't have to build a new financial entity. We've got entities in multiple different countries. They're fantastically complicated. So that made a big difference. And just overall, the friendliness of Belfast to entrepreneurs, to technology companies, whether it's literal friendliness, people treating us very nicely, being very, very welcoming. And then, there are other things that Belfast does to try to make it so it's an easy place for us to move to. So that made a big difference, and we're pretty excited to build out a strong engineering office and a support office there.